Well, we are back once again, everybody. Welcome to another great edition of the 19th Hole Podcast for Golfers. I am your host, Dennis Silvers. We want to welcome you in, and we've got a terrific show for you today. Something that, if it's not, it should be of interest to you as a golfer, because it's only going to help you get better, and that means you're going to enjoy the game a whole lot more. And as you know, we are brought to you by both Encore Golf, one of the greatest golf balls ever, and Grindworks USA, some of the greatest irons and clubs I have ever hit. And we're looking forward to, again, to a great show. The weather here in Las Vegas is getting good, at least for me. You know I'm a hot weather guy. I'm playing golf Sunday, and it's supposed to be 98. Just loving it, all right? So I think we're getting into summer. I think spring's kind of behind us, finally, because as you know, we had a prolonged winter, wacky rain, wind, snow, you name it. But I think we're kind of over the hump today. Our guest today is very well known in his profession. It covers an area that I really never thought that much of, because I wasn't that familiar with it, and I really didn't care that much about it. But over the last several years, I have gotten into it, and it's very important for your game. Like I say, it's going to help you become a much better player and enjoy the game a lot more. And this has to do with golf mental coaching. And we've got a great guy on the show for you today. His name is David Breslow. Let me tell you a little bit about him. David has been a well-respected performance coach to PGA players, LPGA players, Champion Tour players for 30-plus years. So the guy knows what he's doing, obviously. He has appeared on the Golf Channel as well as a weekly mental game contributor to the Golf Channel. He's been a much-invited speaker at the National USGA and PGA educational seminars. He is the developer of his mental program called Wired to Win. Wired to Win. He is the author of Wired to Win with many articles, books, and ebooks as well. So right now, it's our pleasure to bring him up on camera and welcome David Breslow to the show. So glad to have you on, my friend.
Thank you, Dennis. It's a real pleasure.
I appreciate it. Let me start off and ask you this. As you know, there's a number of other top mental coaches in your space. So what does David do to stand out, to separate himself from the competition?
Well, to be honest with you, we're only in the same space by name, the mental game. We're all going to the same place, but it's the way we get there that makes all the difference. Mm-hmm. The majority of people in the mental game, and by the way, I want to address something you said at the beginning.
Sure.
Before I get down. Maybe I'll do that now. Because you said you didn't think much about the mental game for a long time, right?
Right.
And what I try to tell everybody, or what I do tell everybody, is the mental game is 100% of your game. Because when I question people across the country and I say, how much of your game is mental? The average I get is about 75%. Oh, it's about 75% of my game. Okay. What would you say if I said it was 100% and I can prove it? And that's usually when people get a little, the ego pops up and goes, come on, can't be 100%. Well, it is. Because the proof is the way that I teach it, that's the only caveat. The way that I address it is there's only 4 elements of the mental game, just 4. The mind, the body, your emotions, and your energy. That's it. Mm-hmm. That's it. And the proof is every time you put your hands on the golf club, all 4 of those are in play. Right. There's no way to separate them. You cannot separate them. I'm sorry, you just can't. So what separates me from the masses is the fact that I don't talk psychology. I don't talk concepts. I don't talk generalities or theories. I teach what I call laws of human performance. Laws, LAWS, laws. And these laws are undeniable, they're precise, they're predictable, and the best part is they're provable.
Hmm.
So nobody has to, I don't have to jam anything down anybody's throat.
Right.
Because basically, the people who call me most of the time are those who have tried everything else.
Yeah.
They eventually did all the psychobabble. I call it psychobabble. There's so much. There's so much psychobabble out there and they're just tired of hearing. Oh, you need to be more confident. Oh,
Yeah.
really? Thank you. Okay. Well, okay. If you could be that, you'd be doing it, wouldn't you? So when I used to give the talks to the PGA and some of the organizations you mentioned, there'd be 300, 400 teaching pros in there or players.
Right.
And I would say, what's one of the biggest areas you want to work on? And confidence would be probably the number one. So the hands would go up, confidence. And then I would say, well, do you realize if I worked with you and had 10 sessions with you, I'd probably never mention the word confidence? And they look at me like I'm crazy because I'm considered maybe like Mr. Simple in the coaching business. And I say, look, you already know that confidence is better than lacking confidence, right? Well,
Sure.
yeah. Okay. Do you think you can pay somebody $200 an hour and they can tell you how important being confident is? It's like, so what? You already know that. So I don't have to mention the word confidence because as a byproduct of learning the laws that I'm talking about, confidence shows up without me ever saying a word about it. And that's why I love doing it this way. And that does separate me quite a bit from the majority that are out there in the world doing
You
the
know,
same
David,
thing.
that's interesting because one of the questions I had for you to see whether you agreed with me or not, and obviously you're not going to agree, but I thought that one of the biggest takeaways, if not the biggest takeaway, from having a good mental game is having confidence.
It is. It's part of it. Look. There are basic characteristics that every golfer knows are important, right? And they're listed in every book on
Hmm.
peak performance and most of the articles written by psychologists: confidence, clarity, decision making, things like that,
Right.
right? We all know those characteristics are key. The question is, how do you demonstrate them?
Hmm.
You don't demonstrate them by reading about them in a book. You demonstrate them by understanding the root causes of how all those things take place in your
Okay.
game.
Okay.
How does the lack of confidence keep showing up? Why do you make bad decisions? Why are you unclear about club choices and things like that?
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, you can only know that if you go to the root, and that's why I call this Wired to Win a root cause approach,
Yeah.
because these laws are all producing an outcome,
Right.
and every law does that. That's why we call it a law, because it's producing an outcome. It's
Yeah.
no different than gravity or physics.
Right. David,
So
oh, I'm sorry. I
go
didn't
ahead.
mean to go,
I'm sorry.
I was going to say, how does your message differ? You've worked with a lot of tour professionals, elite players, amateurs, whatever. How does your message differ, if it in fact does, from a weekend player to a tour pro? Is your message a little bit different?
Well, the basic message is exactly the same because the laws that are producing these outcomes are exactly the same for Tiger Woods as they are for you, or Fred Couples, or
Mm-hmm.
John Rahm, or whoever you want to. It doesn't matter. These laws are human performance laws. Okay, if I had something different for a professional versus an amateur, that would mean I'd have to come up with a different law. And I'm sorry, there isn't one.
Mm-hmm.
That would mean it, that would be like saying, well, gravity works different for a professional than it does for you.
Right.
That's just not true. It can't happen. So the basic of the teachings is exactly the same. The conversation that we have will be different because of their environment and the arena that they're in. But the laws themselves that trigger all of these new byproducts of all the uh, attributes that they're searching for is exactly the same.
It's the same.
Exactly the same.
That's that,
They,
that that's interesting. That's
it's
interesting.
really fascinating,
Yeah.
actually.
How did you get into uh, mental coaching in the game to begin with? What drew you to that as opposed to going into another area of the game?
Yeah. Well, honestly, it began with my own difficulties as a competitive tennis player. And because when I was younger, I was a big time tennis player, but I lost to a lot of people that I shouldn't have. And I was physically better than 90% of the people that I played, but I would lose because I was a mental midget. I would literally fold like a cheap suit once the match began. And one day I was playing a huge tournament in New York, and I lost in the first round of a big tournament in Forest Hills, New York, where they now play the U.S. Open.
Right, right.
And I was so upset that when I got out to my car, I literally started banging the roof of my car with my rackets. And I'm literally yelling and screaming about quitting. I'm crying. And all of a sudden, I got really quiet. And I heard this voice inside me go, I don't mean this to sound too esoteric, but I heard this voice, this quiet whispering voice inside me say, why don't you go back to what you knew when you were younger? Because all my life I have understood this mind body relationship, not in a way of psychology, but in a way of how the mind works with the body and
Right,
with the emotions to produce an outcome.
right.
And I've always understood that, but I ignored it. And I started listening to the regular psychology people and reading the books and trying to implement all that, and it just wasn't working. And then I realized I'm not the only one because most of the people who call me, like I said, have done all of that already,
Yeah,
and they're
yeah,
still not getting what they want.
yeah,
Why?
yeah,
Why?
yeah.
Because they're not going to the root cause. They don't understand how they're causing the issues that they're having.
Right.
And in fact, what really happens is somebody will call me and I'll say, "What's up?" And they'll give me all this list of all the things they want to work on, all of what they consider to be their problems, right? Well, I'm not good at this, and I'm not competent as I need to be. I'm not making good decisions. I'm missing putts under pressure. I don't handle pressure well. All the things that we all know about. And then I'll say, well, the reality is those aren't your problems. And they'll start to argue with me and say, yeah, no, those are my problems. I said, no, they're not your problems. Those are the byproducts of you being unaware that you're causing 95% of those
Right.
problems you just told me about, but you
Exactly.
don't know that.
But you don't
So
know
what
that.
you're doing is, so what they do is they run around, look for another book, another coach, another mental game person, and they think that's where all the answers are going to be. And they don't realize they have the answers within them, but they don't know that
Yeah,
until we start
yeah,
talking about the laws.
yeah. That's very interesting. That's a very good point. David, does a person's intelligence have anything to do with uh, helping their mental game?
Interesting question. And of course, my answer is going to be a bit different than most. And what I'm going to tell you is that most of the, no, not most, everybody I talk to is intelligent. Okay.
Mhm.
They have different levels of education, of course, but
Right,
everybody's
right.
intelligent.
Yeah.
And what I say to them is your intelligence is what's killing you. Because I ask this question: are you an intelligent person? Yeah. Okay. Would you consider yourself a wise person? Okay. Yeah. And then my third question is, would a wise person sabotage themselves on the golf course the way that you do? And they immediately answer that question with a no.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting to me is I haven't even talked about wisdom. I haven't defined it. We haven't done any discussion about what wisdom is. What they're telling me is they know innately that if they were wiser, whatever that means, if they were wiser, they wouldn't be having the problems that they're having.
Right.
And so I tell everybody when you go through Wired to Win, you probably aren't going to be one bit more intelligent than you are now, but you're going to be a heck of a lot wiser. And wisdom trumps intelligence any day in my
Mm-hmm.
book.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to be less intelligent What you're now going to be able to do is combine your intelligence, your current level of intelligence, with a huge spike in wisdom.
Yeah.
And so, because you're wiser, you're not trying to put out all these fires anymore. You're having fewer fires to put
Right.
out.
Right. Right. I like it that you mentioned, and I totally agree, because there are some very good golf instructors that go along with you in the sense that they need to find the root cause of why somebody's coming over the top, why they're doing this, why they're doing this. They don't want to put a Band-Aid on it. If we fix the root cause, you're not going to do that anymore. And that's what
That's
you're
right.
saying.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But these people don't know this mind body relationship is the root cause. They look at the mental game as some kind of separate thing from their
Right.
game.
Right.
And it's not. As I said to you earlier when we began, it's not separate. It's everything. And when I talk to somebody at first, that's totally brand new news for them, because I'd say 99% of the golfers I've ever met in 30 years still consider the mental game to be something, a part of their game,
Yeah.
a part of their game.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I'll go work on my mental game now. Are you kidding me? Your mental game's been working on you ever since you put a club in your hand,
Yeah.
but you
Yeah.
don't know that.
You don't know
It's
that.
been working on you.
Yeah. You don't
It's
know
been
that.
working on you.
Well,
You
I've
can't
got a.
separate these things. Great.
I got more about that. Another question for you when we come back from break. So we're going to
Okay.
step aside, take a short break right now. When we come back, we'll have a lot more with our very interesting guest, Mr. David Breslau. So stay with us. We return right after this. The revolutionary Power to Golf Club requires no swing to hit golf shots from 50 up to 225 yards. That's right, no swing. And it's empowering golfers with physical issues to continue enjoying time golfing with friends and family. With just the push of a button, the easy-to-use Power to Golf Club launches shots down the fairway and onto the green. Whether a physical issue or just want to join in on the fun, the Power to Golf Club is for you. Visit online, powergolfclub.com. All right, welcome back, everybody. Continuing our conversation here on the 19th Hole podcast with golf mental coach, Mr. David Breslau. David, let me ask you this. Why then do you think, why don't more golfers bother with getting mental coaching as much as, say, taking golf lessons? What do you have to do to make it sexier, so to speak?
Well, number one, as soon as they hear that phrase, they think psychology, and the ego is responding to that, going, I don't need a psychologist. Okay, there's nothing wrong with me. And so there's a big stigma out there about what mental game really means.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I don't even like that phrase, to be honest with you. I never use it. It's on my website, but I don't use it when I'm talking to people. I call myself a performance coach.
Okay.
And for that very reason, because the phrase mental game is a turnoff for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And there's a stigma around it that it's negative, that they need help. And to me, that's the biggest reason. What was the other part of the question?
Well, there are, they're very apt or, excited about taking golf lessons because that's going to help that's going to help the physical part of the game. But
Right.
they don't get excited, as you say, when they know they've got to get more going up here.
Well, they get excited when they hear about the laws because the laws cover everything: mental, physical, emotional, and energy. So they get very excited because they realize when they hear these laws that all parts of their game are being elevated, even the physical part of your game.
Mm-hmm.
Because look, everybody's had that experience. You ever go out on the golf course where you just felt really good one day and all of a sudden you started playing really well
Mm-hmm.
and you don't even know why? Well, the answer is because you were in alignment, what I call the power tools: your mind, your body, your emotion,
Mm-hmm.
and your energy.
Mm-hmm.
They were all working together. In fact, that's all I think the zone is. It's an expression of your mind, body, emotions, and energy functioning together
Together.
to produce that feeling of
Yeah.
calm. And isn't it amazing that even physically you start doing things better? Why? Why is that happening? Because the reality is, when you're in alignment, everything you do
Yeah.
better. And
I agree.
so, these people, these players, when they finally give in, let's say, and call me or somebody like me, then they realize that, oh, I'm missing a big chunk, aren't I? And actually, this big chunk has been always in play,
Right.
always in. I just didn't know it. Nobody told me that.
Right.
Because the way the mental game is talked about in the world of sports, golf and tennis, it's still talked about as a separate thing.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about it as your game
Right.
because they don't market it that way. They market it as, oh, it's separate. It's over here. It's over here. Go
Right.
work on that thing over
Mm-hmm.
there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, it's just not. When
True.
you learn the truth, the real truth, it's not my truth, it's the truth about the human body. When you learn the truth about how it functions, you see that you can never be separated from it. Never.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so part of the reason I love doing this particular way, my approach, is that none of it is my opinion. It's not my theory. It's not my concept. It's not my opinion. In fact, I tell players all the time, your belief is not required.
Mm-hmm.
And you can imagine when I'm talking to somebody with a big ego, like a corporate CEO or a pro, I'm telling them your belief is irrelevant. And they're like, are you kidding me? You're telling me my belief doesn't matter? No. When it comes to the laws, they don't care whether you believe in them or not. I don't care whether you believe in them or not because they're always happening regardless of your belief. And
Right.
the easy example is using gravity.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you and I, Dennis, we're at 15,000 feet in the air. We're gonna parachute, and we're the only two in the plane. And the door opens. You walk over to the door to jump out, and you turn to me and you say, "Dave, I don't believe in gravity. Never have, never will." Okay, great. When you step out, you're going down because gravity doesn't care what you think about it. It doesn't care what your opinion is. It doesn't care whether you believe it or not. And so these laws that I'm talking about, you laugh, but these laws that I'm talking about are just like that.
Yeah.
People, human beings understand the laws of nature.
Right.
They understand gravity. They understand physics. They understand that planting is a law. You plant an apple seed, you're not going to get watermelon. Why? It's a law. You're going to get an apple by law. Okay, everybody gets that. What they don't get is that their game, in fact, everything in their life, is also governed by laws that are just as precise,
Right.
just as predictable, and just as
Mm-hmm.
provable as planting, gravity, and physics.
Right.
And that's where I begin.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where I begin.
Let's go back to the airplane because I'd be throwing you out the door first to see what happens, and then following you. Can you? I talk about this too with a lot of the instructors that I have on. I get different answers, but I want to ask you: can you be a good player, even an elite player, without having a good mental game? And you know what they tell me? You got to have both to really be to stand out. But I think, and maybe you disagree with me, and I've asked people this, would you rather have great swing mechanics or a really good mental game? And if push comes to shove, they say, I'd rather have great swing mechanics.
Of course they do. Because the physical is easy. That's why. Now you're asking me a question that I'm going to have a hard time answering based on everything I've said to you so far.
Mm-hmm.
Because the question you're asking still assumes that the mental game is different, that it's separate from their physical game. And I've just been spending 15 minutes telling you that it's
That
not.
it's not. Yeah.
So I can't answer that question the way other people do because there is no separation there. I would never look at it that way. I would say, I would never say, do you want a mental game or do you want a physical game?
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, they're the same.
Mm-hmm.
And I can prove it. They're the same. It's not that they're the same. It's just that they're intertwined, let's say.
Yeah. They're not
One is
exclusive to each other.
exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was the right wording.
Yeah.
They're not exclusive to each other. They're so connected that they're always impacting each other
Yeah.
because you can't get away from it. So I would have a real difficult time being in that conversation.
Yeah.
I
No.
would have to recuse myself
Yeah.
and say, I'm sorry, I don't look at it that way. I really can't answer it. the
Yeah.
way that
No.
you guys are talking
I
about.
get that. As you know, there's an old saying in golf. You know it very well that golf is mostly mental. You've heard that a
Mhm,
zillion times. What are your thoughts
mhm.
about that?
Do you want me to say it one more time?
It's
My thoughts about
intertwined. Yeah.
that, yeah, my thoughts about that is it's 100% mental.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not. It's not mostly mental. It's not a little bit mental. It's 100% mental, given the way that I teach it. If I was a psychologist and I looked at the world and said, okay, there's psychology, and then there's performance, then I would answer that question the way that other people are.
Mm-hmm.
But because I don't see that, I see it as one, and it's inescapable. I have a hard time looking at it that way and saying, well, okay, the mental game is over here a little bit. The psychology is over there. Your physical game is over here. And then you have all these attributes that you're trying to get good at in between. How do we
Mm-hmm.
merge all that?
Right.
Well, they're already merged.
Yeah. Yeah.
My and I don't mean to be annoying, but my nickname in the coaching business is Mr. Simple for this very reason. Because when people throw things at me like that, I come up with an answer that's very simple. And their
Mm-hmm.
response is, Dave, you make it sound so simple.
Yeah.
I can go from point A to point B in my game. You make it sound so simple. I say, well, you make it sound so hard. Who do you want to believe, you or me?
Yeah.
Because the way you're doing it is a real struggle. And most golfers are struggling way too much, in my opinion.
Okay.
But it's only
I
because they
agree.
don't know, if they're not aware. It's a lack of awareness of this mind body reality that I've been talking to you about.
Right. Right.
That's all it is.
When people go out and they take lessons,
Hmm.
they'll take a playing lesson with their teaching pro, and they'll
Uh-huh.
go out and they'll encounter different situations. And to me, that falls under the heading of course management. How does that differ from what you're teaching?
It doesn't differ at all because as you move through the laws, like I said before, everything gets better. You're thinking more clearly, you're reacting more rationally, you're not letting your emotions get in the way. So you're automatically managing your game better.
Mm-hmm.
They're totally intertwined. And I'm a big fan of playing lessons, by the way.
Are you?
When I used to teach tennis, and the best way to learn is by actually playing. And because now you're in a real life situation, what do? And you got your pro there with you to have the conversation about it, if
Right.
that's what you like to do. But this learning about the game without playing is like reading a book to try to learn karate, and it's just not the same. You got to be in a fight. You
Right.
got to be in a competition
Exactly.
and make the moves. And
Exactly.
that's the only way to get better, in my opinion. That's
Ex-
that's something what I'm telling you that's actually an opinion. The laws that I've been talking about are not my opinion.
yeah, exactly. I remember years back playing with some friends, and one of the people that we were playing with uh, was also a performance coach. And
Hmm.
one of the guys said, God, I feel good today working on my putting. I could tell you guys right now, I'm not going to have any three putts. And he looked at him, he goes,
Big
Why?
trouble.
But yeah, why are you even bringing that up and putting that negative into your head? And
That's
I thought about it and I said, you know what? He's right.
Of course he's right. Okay, let me say something to you right now that'll
Sure.
touch on that. And you might not believe it, it might be too simple, but the reality is that thoughts create. Okay? Now, there's a lot of people who read books about human performance, and it's in there thoughts create,
Mm-hmm.
and but they don't know how that happens. So when I'm working with somebody, I'm teaching them how and why these things are true. And I'm not just making a statement like that, but for purposes of our time and this show, I'll tell you that thoughts create. So when this player you just told me about says, I'm not making any three putts, but he's sending that message into his mind,
Yeah.
and that mind is making it a reality
Yeah.
for him. So he's focusing on, because the mind doesn't hear don't or not. It doesn't know what to do with those words. All
Mm-hmm.
it hears is three putts. It
Right.
hears three putts. And the human mind works so beautifully and so quickly to produce an outcome that that three putt phrase gets into the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind makes that your reality. That's its job. It's the only job the subconscious mind
Mm-hmm.
has.
Mm-hmm.
It's a welcome mat, and it doesn't know if what you're sending it is good or bad,
Right.
right or wrong, constructive or destructive. You're sending it three putt, and so it says, okay. And believe it or not, it's going to create that experience for you. So, you know, a lot of people will say that's a big mistake, but they're not going to tell you why.
Why? Yeah.
You know, I know many psychologists, and when I used to go to parties and I would run into a sports psychologist, they go, "Oh, what do you do?" I said, "Oh, I'm a performance coach. I work with golfers and tennis players and so on on their on the game that's going on inside their head." Oh, I do that too. I said, "Well, yeah, I know you do, but I'll tell you this: we're all looking for the same outcome,
Yeah.
but I promise you, the way we're getting there is two different worlds."
Yeah.
And they can't hear me when I say that; they walk away because it's two different worlds. We all want the same thing for the client, yes, but the way we get there is completely different.
Different. Yeah.
Because then I'll ask them, I'll say, "Well, how long does it take you to work on competence with somebody?" Oh, about 3 to 6 months. And then of course they'll ask me, "How long for you, Dave?" I said, "Oh, about a week." And they look at me like, "Are you kidding me?" No, I'm not. Because I'm telling you, Dennis, from law number one, which by the way is it's called the law of awake and asleep, because most golfers are dead asleep, but they don't know it. But we wake them up really quick, really quick. And from law number one, competence builds automatically as a byproduct, because by being awake, they're making conscious choices with full awareness of the consequences, where they
Mm-hmm.
were not doing that before.
Right.
Before, they were acting like robots,
Right.
reacting to every little thing that was going on, you know, thinking the same thing, feeling the same way, saying the same thing over and over and over again. And that's called being asleep, because you're
Mm-hmm.
unconscious. You're doing
Right.
things unconsciously
Yeah.
out of rote habit.
Yeah.
And then from day one, law number one, awake and asleep, they're awake. I give them this little exercise to wake them up for 3 days, and they come back and they can't believe how asleep they've been, because now they can see it. Now they can see it. So now that they're awake, now we can go add on the other laws.
Right.
Because that, to me, Dennis, that's my biggest issue with the field, is that players are paying somebody
Mm-hmm.
to go learn a bunch of insights, which is cool.
Yeah.
And the insights might be great, that's fine. But what the teacher doesn't realize is that they're dumping all this information on a person who's dead asleep. And it's going into that asleep mind, which we call the old mind, which is filled with all those fears and doubts and negativity. So all that information is going into that. I call it the rancid milk theory analogy. Can I give it to you? Do we have
Yeah.
time?
Yeah. In
It's
a minute or two, because we got to take a break, but go ahead.
Okay, now I'll do it quick. It's like when you're home, you go open your refrigerator, you take out a quart of milk, you open it up, and it smells. You look at the date, and it's like 3 weeks after the date. So you go to the store, and you get a new quart of milk. You come home. Do you pour that quart of milk inside the old quart of milk, hoping that it smells better and tastes good? No, you don't.
No.
But that's what every golfer is doing. When they go read another book and they go to another coach, they're pouring the rancid milk is like their old mind, the junk mind.
All right.
And the new milk is like the new mind, which they're not in touch with yet. And they're pouring all the good information that they're getting into the old mind, and it's just not going anywhere. Which is why, if you ever notice, they're continuing to go, oh, let me get another book now. That didn't work. Let me get another coach.
Yeah.
That didn't work.
Yeah.
I'm giving you the reason why those things don't work for people, because they're dumping good things into rotten,
the old stuff.
into rotten milk.
Yeah.
And that's why.
I like that. That's interesting. All right, David, stand by. Again, we're going to take a short break. Come back. We're going to finish up the show with David. So pay attention. We're back with you right after this. One of the perks about being in golf media is that I get to try every club ever made. Of course, like most things, some are better than others. I'm here to tell you that I have found unquestionably the absolute best performing set of irons I have ever played, and my scores show it. Let me introduce you to Grindworks, custom fitted irons that are made to fit your game. Grindworks offers players 3 different styles of irons. You can choose muscle back irons, cavity back irons, and even blades, along with some awesome wedges. And when you purchase your clubs, Grindworks lets you choose the type of shaft you want, the type grip you prefer, and even will adjust the loft and lie of your clubs if needed. That's unheard of. So what are you waiting for? Feel the power and experience and performance of these amazing clubs. Simply go to grindworksusa.com or call 281-651-4046 to order. Trust me, your handicap will love you for it.
As golfers, we want instant gratification when it comes to a better golf swing and playing better golf. Impossible, you say? Not anymore. Golf Boost Artificial Intelligence, AI, has developed and patented the most advanced swing analysis technology in golf. Simply, the algorithms detect your body position and then analyze your golf swing using their artificial intelligence technology. The AI captures all the relevant data from your swing video and then presents you a personalized lesson. Golf Boost AI is the ultimate swing analysis and virtual instruction system for golfers of all ages and abilities. This sophisticated software takes into consideration your height and build, playing level, and returns the ideal solution for your swing. Bottom line, Golf Boost AI is an incredibly convenient and cost-effective tool for golfers to improve their swing. Go to golfboost.com and check it out. The app is free to download and try. Visit golfboost.com today.
Hello everybody, it's Alan with Tricks of the Trade, FloridaGolfLife.com. Thanks for joining us this morning. We're here at beautiful Richmond, and I'm actually going to show a little bit about the technique of Ben Hogan, and he's actually following through with the hips. And I actually want to see this lag, and I want to see you tuck that elbow in, and then follow through and hold your finish. That's a key. So Tricks of the Trade, nice smooth swing shot, and just hold your finish and tuck the elbow in. Hold my finish, ball hits the ground. Thank you for joining FloridaGolfLife.com. Come see us. God bless.
Alan's got a pretty darn good-looking golf swing. He's a very good player. He's up at the Villages in Florida, northern Florida. Good guy. Anyway, getting back to our special guest, golf performance coach David Breslow. David, what do you think about golfers when they go get hypnotized to help them with their problems? Any validity in that?
Actually, I don't have any either way about that. I mean, being hypnotized is a reality. People can be hypnotized, not everybody. But the purpose of being hypnotized is to bypass the conscious mind. And as you bypass the conscious mind, because that's where all the trouble is.
Yeah.
All of the obstacles that we've been talking about are in the conscious mind. That's that old mind that has the, I was talking about with the rancid milk.
All right.
That when you get hypnotized, the purpose for that is to bypass the conscious mind and get into the subconscious mind, which is where all the action is. The subconscious mind is the part that does the creating. The conscious mind doesn't create anything. It just thinks ideas. That's what it does. And the subconscious mind is where they're going with the hypnosis. My question about that is, how does it last for anybody?
Yeah.
What do they do when you're done being hypnotized? What changes in a month? You know, what happens 3 weeks from then or a month from then? And so I think it's important for everybody to be self-contained. And again, I'll go back to the laws, because once you know them for life, and you can always benefit from them.
Right.
60 years from now, because they won't change. They will not change.
Yeah, they'll be the same. It's I like that.
You're in total control.
Be in total control. That is awesome. We've only got a couple of minutes left, and if somebody is looking to get a hold of you, they want to learn these laws, they want to get better at the game, how do they do that? How do they get a hold of you?
Well, you can go to my website, www.mentalgolfcoaching.com, and you will see several products there. I teach the laws in every product that I have. I have a product it's an online product. For under $100, you can learn the 7 laws that I teach. Everything that I say, I don't cheat anybody. I don't have levels. You don't come to me for level 1 and then level 2 and then level 3. You get everything.
Right.
You get everything at the same time. So that's one way to get a hold of me. And if anybody wants me to provide any lectures or presentations online, I'm available for that as well. All of that information is available on that one website. On the website. It's a golf dedicated website, www.mentalgolfcoaching.com.
All right, that's absolutely perfect. David, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. Very, very informative. I'm sure I'm going to get some very positive feedback, and obviously, you know, we'd like to have you back on sooner than later. And it's just been a lot of great information.
Well, thank you. It was my pleasure. I love talking about this stuff.
I know you do.
Well, look, about 25 years ago, I put the tennis world and the golf world on their collective behinds. And I'm being kind right now because with my language, because those worlds are so stuck in tradition.
Yeah.
And that's why honestly, I love working with the amateur golfer. And because the pros in any arena are very much stuck in tradition. Yeah. And what you have to go through to get to them is, you know, it's like one big struggle.
Yeah.
The amateur golfers tend to be more open. Right. But I mean, that's okay. But those worlds are very traditional. Yeah. So somebody like me comes along and says, wait a minute, I got a program. I don't offer any tips. I don't offer any strategies. I don't offer any psychology. And they look at me and go, you can't do that. I said, well, I did. Okay, because this program, and you know, you heard me talk about the laws. There's no need for psychology. There's no need for tips, and there's no need for strategies. There just isn't. And that's hard for people to believe if they don't know. Yeah. They go, like, you know, come on, Dave, that can't be possible. But it is. I've been doing it this long, It's got to be possible.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're thinking can't be this easy. Anyway, David,
Right.
thank you again. I'll be in touch soon. Appreciate your time. All right, David Brezzo, really interesting. All right, we're going to step away, take one more quick break, come back, and we're going to finish off the show. The revolutionary Power to Golf Club is helping golfers around the world continue to enjoy the greatest game of all. This amazing club requires no swing to hit shots from 50 up to 225 yards. That's right, no swing to hit shots, including fades, draws, low shots, as well as high ones. One incredible club does it all. Golfers with a wide variety of physical issues, including bad backs, hips, shoulders, and more, are now back in the game golfing with friends and family. Just set the club to the desired distance, and with a push of the button, the easy-to-use Power to Golf Club launches shots down the fairway and onto the green. The Power to Golf Club has been endorsed by some of the biggest names in golf, and the number of golfers enjoying the game by use of our unique technology continues to grow. Whether a physical issue or just want to join in on the fun, the Power to Golf Club is for you. Don't be left on the sidelines. Get back in the game today. Visit at powergolfclub.com. Hi, I'm Dennis Silvers, host of the 19th Hole Podcast for Golfers, and I'm here to tell you about some great wedges and putters from Grindworks USA. First, the Grindworks Barrett Collection Wedge Set. These wedges are unparalleled in today's market. The wedges come to you in 3 different lofts, 51, 57, and 61 degrees, all designed to be able to spin around the greens with the ability to hit high, middle, or low shots around the greens. Grindworks also makes a line of their Windsor Wells Precision Machine putters. This beautiful design of putter was not only created to be appealing to the eye, but to perform better on the greens. You will gain a ton of confidence to help lower your scores. Go to grindworksusa.com or call 281-651-4046. I promise your scores will love you for it. All right, welcome back, everybody. Great show with David. We hope you enjoyed it. We're going to have another good one next week, so we expect to see you tuning in as well, and hope you get out this weekend to play some golf. I know some parts of the country, believe it or not, are kind of, you got ice and cold weather. It's kind of hard to believe. But no matter where you are, we hope that you get out and enjoy it. So until then, keep it in the short stuff, my friends, and we'll see you back. So long.